you can cue IT to begin the live stream. And I now call this meeting to order. I note the presence of a quorum. Action items. Approval of the minutes of the October 19th, 2023 meeting of the Audit Committee of the City University Construction Fund, 2435. Are there any amendments to the meetings? Any discussion, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, I ask for a motion to approve the minutes. I have a motion.
All right, motion. So move.
I second it. I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, carries unanimously. I will now move to the second resolution. Resolution of the City University Construction Fund approving the annual certificate for fiscal year 2026, number 2436. Resolved that the Fund's Board of Trustees approve the annual certificate for fiscal year 2026, dated September 25th, 2024, and in the form attached, and be it further resolved that the acting chairman of the fund is hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver the annual certificate on behalf of the fund. I hereby call on Dr. Mohammed Atalia, to Executive Director of the Construction Fund, to explain the item. Excuse me, before you start, Mohammed, I always ask this every year. We're approving the annual certificate for fiscal year 2026, or is that a typo?
That's my first question.
It is 2026, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so I guess we approve it in the budget in advance, is that it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, very good. Okay, I hereby call Dr. Mohammed Ataya of Construction Fund to explain the item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to Section 6274-7 of the New York State Education Law, the fund is required to produce an annual financial certification. The certification is a letter provided to 6 New York State and city agencies, the purpose of which is to forecast the debt service due to DASNY for fiscal year 2026 on debt issuances prior to the utilization of personal income tax bonds, and 2, the tuition and fees to be collected from the university during the next 2 fiscal years, and 3, the fund's cost of administration for fiscal year 2026. It is required that the fiscal year 2024 audited annual financial statements accompany the annual certification when it is sent to the agencies. This year's annual financial statements were prepared by CUCF and audited by the accounting firm Mitchell Titus, who are now in their 5th year as the fund's auditors. Mitchell Titus will now provide a full presentation of their audit findings and results for the fiscal year 2024 financial statements. Speaking on behalf of Mitchell Titus is Ms. Uzma Malik, Audit and Advisory Partner for the fund's audit. Ms. Malik.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed. We do have a presentation. If you could pull that up, that would be great. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Uzma.
Can you speak a little louder?
Sure. Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, let me just move over. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Let me start again. Good afternoon. My name is Uzma Malik, partner with Mitchell Titus, and I was the engagement partner on the audit of the Construction Fund's 2024 financial statements. If we could go to the next few pages. And while you're doing that, I also want to introduce our team. Scott Shoup is, you guys can probably see him. And then also Wendelin Yang, key members of the engagement team. Next page, please. So our objective was to express an opinion on the financial statements of the fiscal year 2024 financial statements. We did issue a clean or unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is great. We had a quick turnaround because of the statutory deadline. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But again, clean opinion on the financial statements. There were some misstatements to the financial statements that we received, but all of those were recorded. There are no unrecorded misstatements that were identified during the audit. As a part of every audit, we do look at internal control over financial reporting, and we did identify a deficiency in internal control relating to the financial statement close process, which we consider to be a material weakness. And again, this is because of the statutory deadline. Management didn't have much time to review the financial statements that were presented. Next page. This is just a summary of our audit approach. I won't bore you with the details. Nothing really changed from our audit approach last year. We do start with the planning process to really design our strategy and how we develop our audit approach overall. Throughout the audit, we did maintain continuous communication with management. We really, in this effort to get the report done on time, we, worked closely with management. We appreciate all the cooperation we got from management. It was really a team effort, and I think both sides worked well to get everything done on time. And therefore, we ended up with a conclusion and reporting process and issued a clean opinion on the financials. Next page. Again, these are core team members that I just introduced. The only person not in the meeting is Stephen Beloga, who's the concurring reviewer. Next page. Fraud considerations are required, of course, for every audit. What we do look at is the risks of material misstatement to the financial statements relating to any fraud risks. We're not aware of any fraud, fraud-related matters. If we were, you would have already known. We don't like to have such surprises, but we do perform a combination of procedures to really identify whether there are any fraud risks. And again, no issues noted here. Next page. Summary of audit results. These are some of the procedures we performed. Of course, revenue recognition is a critical area. We did confirm tuition and fees. We also performed test of details for revenue accounts. No issues there. Cash and investments, we confirmed cash balances and investment balances, and also reviewed how you recorded investment income. And we also looked at the critical disclosures that are required. No issues there. Accounts receivable, we tested individually significant receivable balances and looked at subsequent cash collections to determine, whether the receivables at year end were recorded correctly, and also that they were collectible. No issues there. Next page. Liabilities, we do look at contract payables at year end and also perform a search for any unrecorded liabilities. No exceptions there. Next page. So these are some of our required communications that are required by professional standards. We did perform the audit in accordance with the scope that was previously communicated to you. We maintained our independence throughout the process. We look at your significant accounting policies, which are included in Note 2, the financial statements, Note 2. No issues there. We believe that the accounting policies are consistent and reasonable. Next page. No significant accounting estimates were identified, so there's no issues to report there. We do look at your financial statement disclosures. We believe that your disclosures in the financial statements are sufficient, and there are no issues there. Again, there was no fraud that we identified, actual or suspected instances. We did not have any difficulties dealing with management. In fact, we we worked hard to make sure we got this audit done, looked at all the documentation that was provided, and came to our conclusions. Next page. As I discussed earlier, we did identify certain corrected misstatements. There are no uncorrected misstatements that we identified. No significant unusual transactions, and also we did not have any disagreements with management during the audit. Next page. Before we issued our opinion on the financial statements, we obtained a representation letter from management. You are more than welcome to have a copy of the letter from management. We're not aware of any consultations management had with other accountants on any auditing or accounting issues. Other significant matters, findings, or issues, nothing other than what I reported earlier in terms of the financial statement close process. Next page. No noncompliance with laws and regulations that came to our attention. We reviewed the unaudited management's discussion and analysis, noting that the information included in the MD&A was consistent with the financial statements. No going concern issues were identified. Next page. Oh, wow, that concludes the audit. And I guess we've been doing the audit, and we appreciate the opportunity to do the work. We are the largest, minority-owned accounting firm in the States. We have offices. We have 6 offices. We're headquartered in New York. But we have offices also in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Baltimore, and Newark, New Jersey. So, again, we appreciate the opportunity, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Yeah, hi, it's Brian Oberfeld. Could you go back to the first couple pages, please?
Sure.
I want to understand something here as a fiduciary. Let's go. Okay, next page, please. I'm looking for the part where you said misrepresentation of facts, or keep going. I know there was no fraud.
Right.
I understand that, but I thought you said...
But they were corrected, I think.
Right, they were corrected. I'm just wondering what they were to begin with.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the audit adjustments?
Yes.
Yeah, so this goes back to, there were certain audit adjustments that were made to the financial statements that we received from management. And
Okay.
So those adjustments were made, and therefore the financial statements that you have
Right.
incorporate all of those, and we feel comfortable that those financial statements are now, materially stated in accordance with accounting standards, that government accounting standards board sets.
Okay, and then my next question is, you seem to have indicated that we were a little bit up against the wall on this time-wise. I'm just curious as to why.
Yes, so there's a statutory deadline, and so we received the draft financial statements we received, I believe, the deadline was Friday, and we got the report, financial statements, Wednesday night, I believe.
Mr. Chair, I can add information to that.
Sure, please.
Yes, CUCF is one of 85 CUNY-related entities. And our central finance has a schedule to collect all of the approved audited financial statements from all of those 85 CUNY-related entities to be grouped
Okay.
into one audit to another independent auditor for the entire CUNY system. So there is a
Okay.
schedule related to this, and our original
Oh.
schedule for October 24th was out of sync, and this is why the entire process had to be accelerated. And this is why our team worked on an accelerated schedule to produce this.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, we'll just try to, maybe we can speak to them about expediting the schedule a little bit next year. Senator, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions,
Sure.
but you've asked one of the several of, in no particular order, has the statutory date changed from last year because of the emergency nature of calling this meeting, with just a few days' notice? Has that always been the statute, or is this changed in that? Is that the reason why?
This year, Senator Stavisky, this year it's almost 1 month earlier. Our
okay.
our scheduled
That's-
CUCF meeting on October 24th was according to the original old schedule,
Right.
and then
Right.
that we should have made our schedule 1 month earlier now, and this is why we scheduled it now. So, yes, this schedule is.
Why so who changed the schedule? I'm just curious.
Well, it's in our colleagues, the overall, like our students of finance, as I said, this is a need, as you know, that organizations evolve and develop, and now when we have 85, as I said, CUNY related entities collecting all of these ones, all of these audited financial statements to go through the university auditor, that is required that much time and this earlier schedule in order to meet the CUNY audit committee meeting.
Right. Couple of questions, quite a few. I have a number of questions. I don't want to be redundant and repeat them at the 2:00 meeting. Shall I ask them now?
Yes, please.
Okay. In no particular order, I know toward the end, the firm has offices in various states, and I'm very familiar with the licensure issues for CPAs because I chair the Committee on Higher Education, and we've had that kind of issue. We finally resolved it this year in the budget, I believe. Are those accountants who did the audit licensed in New York State?
So that is we have a proper licensing. If that's not all of the people who work on the audit are required to be licensed in the state, but the key personnel, yes, were licensed in the state as required.
That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
In other words, this audit was performed according to I think it has to be the State Education Department, because they have 55 or so professions that are licensed in New York State, and to practice those professions, you must hold a license in New York State.
Yes, we have the proper license.
Okay, no,
in
I
New
was
York State.
very involved with updating the law, making it easier to have offices, keep them in New York City, in New York State rather.
Yes.
A couple of other questions. (2026), our fiscal year, we call this fiscal year 2025 because it's the 24-25 budget cycle that we're in. Is that the reason why we're doing it for next year and it says for fiscal 2026?
I can answer that question. Where the calendar year goes July 1, 23 to June 30th, fiscal year 24. We're actually already in fiscal year 25. That starts.
You're using the city's fiscal year rather than the states, which starts in April.
Yes. So
That's
we're already
what I'm
in.
at. That's all right.
Mhm.
Okay, that's why I just was curious. The trustee Overfeld made the same question, asked the same, similar question. All right, you've answered that question. On the question of on the front page of the memo, instructional and non-instructional fees. It's on the first page. Are we assuming that these are fees and tuition, presumably? Are we assuming that there's going to be no increase in tuition, which I hope occurs, as well as no decline in enrollment? Because the numbers you're using were the same numbers as last year.
That's
Yeah, yes, Senator Stavisky, we use this numbers from the CUNY system, and the assumption is correct.
Okay, I mean, I think it's an assumption that may be over-optimistic. But that assumes no increase in fees, which are not, in term for the students. In other words, fees cannot be, you can't use TAP or Pell to pay off a fee. You have to pay it for, I'm opposed to fees, I must tell you. I think it should all be in tuition. Does this take into account the fact that CUNY does not have a contract with the Professional Staff Congress and hasn't for a while? I know they're negotiating.
Yes, you're correct. The negotiation is still ongoing, but the question is, Senator Stavisky?
My real question is, have you allocated additional funding for any kind of contract that's under negotiation?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm sure the answer is no.
Dr. Meyer, that's an expense. This is on the income. You can't.
But that's so. This is on the tuition, really, not for the Professional Staff Congress. Like what we're talking about here.
But under expenses.
That's expenses, but the budget we're talking about.
Yeah, the second part deals cost of administration and then amounts, cost of administration. And that would include presumably personnel.
I think what the senator is asking is, was there any contingency made for staff increases?
Can we get back to you with this answer, Senator?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and incidentally, I am not an accountant, obviously, and we have a fiduciary responsibility here that I brought up before. And we have to take the word of the accountants. That's why, and obviously we have no reason not to. But particularly under the pressure they had of getting it done. But I still think we have to think in terms of unanticipated expenses, and I would certainly hope a contract is one of them, because they are working without a contract. I'm not taking sides on the labor issue, but simply the fact that in the legislature, we often put in legislation in the budget, what we call the pay bill, to cover any additional costs to pay for the contract. But there's no provision in here for a contract. That's what I'm asking. I guess not. But you'll get back to me. Let me look at my other quick questions. DASNY. DASNY gets somewhere, I don't know, 20 million or so for administering the CUNY construction contracts, and CUNY gets an additional 20 million, both in our fiscal year 25 budget that we passed this past April. There's additional money here for DASNY. Would you get back to me on total amount that DASNY is receiving and administering the construction fund expenses or disbursements.
Yeah, yes, Senator, we'll be happy to provide that number, exactly what the total that DASNY gets to do that administration.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not questioning DASNY in any way. I think it's a really good agency, but, you know, we ought to know how much, because we're talking in the billions with the entire amount we're dealing with now. You talk about the debt service. It's not on my notes, but I think debt service on the bonds that has any issues, they're included here. The state of New York pays the debt service on the bonds of most agencies. This year and last year, we were able to get CUNY the debt service payment on the, I think it was the hospital. In fact, I'm sure it was the CUNY, the 3 CUNY hospitals. But the state pays the debt service for the other agencies. And does the city do that for the other agencies as well?
I am not sure about the city whether they do.
I'm not sure either, but that's something we ought to be talking about, you know, in March or February when we talk budget. Because I think that's something that, you know, can help. And I think that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Okay, hearing no any other questions, comments, or concerns, I'm gonna call for a motion on this item.
Are you and I the only trustees here?
We're here. So I'll
Okay, I'll bet I do so move.
I second it. I'm gonna call for a vote.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. If there's no more business before the committee, this meeting is now adjourned.